paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
If your bit doesn't make me laugh, I'm hanging up on this call and never recording again.
Yeah, but improv makes you laugh.
Bar's low. This one actually is your fault, Corbin.
Start the f***ing cast, dude.
And with that, welcome into
And with
Brainstorm. The thing casted to you.
Lo-fi chill hacking noises to sleep to.
And we're back. No, don't do that.
It's a real phlegm-heavy podcast.
Hope I'm not
To
getting sick.
Brainstorm Brewery.
Remember,
JJ can
remember
listen.
14 years ago when I said you could trade cigarettes for singles?
Cass dunked on Jason a few minutes ago. That's going to be the open to the show. And I'm going to bring us in with the rolling opening through the power of editing. JJ, also known as the only member of this podcast willing to show up last week, we'll put it together. You see, Jason, that is the magic of podcasting. It's this art that we've done. Did you know that we've done more than 600 episodes now? Not any of us. We've all missed enough that it's not actually 600 for us individually yet. But as a cast, we passed 600 like apparently last month.
I know. I know. And it was coming up and I knew it. And I was just like, I just don't have the energy for this anymore.
Like, I think everyone can agree with that. A podcast 600th episode is like is your 42nd birthday energy. Like, we can all accept that.
Oh my God.
I will say this.
What a bit,
While
Jason.
While Jason and I disagree about the merits of improv comedy, I think Jason and I both agree that podcasts are the lowest form of entertainment. So thank you to our listeners for rolling around in the slop with us every week.
I did 3 years of improv, therefore I can on improv.
I have several things to say. First of all, for those of you not watching it, youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery, Jason goes 600 episodes, pulls out the
Brainstorm Brewery merch.
Yeah, he whips out the Brainstorm Brewery flask, starts drinking out of it, then dumps the entire thing straight into a Brainstorm Brewery glass, which of course is available to patrons at patreon.com/BSB, starts drinking out of that.
Corbin, the glasses are not available anymore unless you're going to ship a bunch of them and have them shatter on arrival.
Well, that will be the shipping company.
I have a few left.
I think we shipped them more responsibly than the company that produced them. Because this is some BSB lore here, but once upon a time we were like, yeah, it's great to send glasses to everybody, but you know what? We want to vary it, not just these awesome glasses that we've been sending out. Let's get a different shape, one more suited to drinking. I think there were tulip glasses. Is that true, Jason?
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, well,
So nice.
The shipping company sent them to me with essentially no packing, stacked in rows on top of each other, and about 40% of them were just shattered beyond belief when I opened the box. Like, no movement, just like open box at my house, just destroyed. And not like all on one side where like, oh, maybe somebody flung it up against the wall. No, just like randomly broken because you would never ship them. Like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then they tried to tell me that
on the package,
dude, they tried, yeah. Well, they tried to give me some tiny refund, and I was like, you owe me like 200 glasses. Like, come on.
So that made them even more rare and limited edition is what happened.
There you go. That's right.
The price went up for the non-shattered ones, and that's just like the way the market works.
And I just had a box of glass. That's what they told me. They said, if you want a refund or a replacement, you will have to return the contents to the delivery person.
You should have sent them in an envelope.
No, well, because they didn't want me to steal anything, right? They had to verify that I wasn't just lying to them about these glasses and that I didn't just break a bunch of different glasses and put it in their box. And I asked the person, I was like, I think I made an email. I was like, they're welcome to the box of glass shards. Like,
yeah.
Shockingly, they didn't take it.
as much as I think we love the Yelp review section of this podcast, I have to ask Jason, was that the bit?
Yeah, it was a bit.
That was
It was an incredible bit. Also, where do I get a Brainstorm Brewery flask? How do I do that? Who's doing
I was going to say, Jason, though, or Cass, knowing the members, the listeners of this podcast, I don't think you can classify this podcast as the lowest form of entertainment. If anything, it is the highest form of entertainment when it comes to some of our devoted listeners.
It's funny because he insisted on casting at 4:20 and he was late.
Are you implying that our audience and the audience of Adult Swim are a circle? That Venn diagram is a circle?
I'm just waiting for the Patreon goal for Jason to dress up as Pickle Rick.
Patreon goals are dead. Hey, speaking of Patreon goals, patreon.com/BSB, Jason had something to say on Twitter I thought was interesting. Do you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
Jason?
people were like, hey, what about I don't remember what it was, a Demolition Man watch along? I don't think our $20 patrons realize the stupid that I would do just because like a $20 patron asked. If you want to all watch Demolition Man or Speed or some shit, like, I'll give you 2 hours of my time. You've given us lots of money. I'm gonna pay myself to do it with Patreon money. So
Great.
yeah, if you wanna book a private screening of Demolition Man or something, I don't know, get together in the Patreon at patreon.com/BSB. Get in that Discord and figure it out.
Well, yes, and also
I don't want to plan anything. That's why
we do
don't
this
have
at
good
Christmas.
Patreon
That's
perks.
right. We do this at Christmas sometimes. We do a watch along for a movie, and it's fun. And we don't always necessarily. In the past, we've done sort of ranking episodes, and I don't know that they always pull a lot of views on YouTube or anything like that compared to sort of a normal episode. But it's fun, and if you're patrons who like that sort of thing, first of all, patreon.com/BSB. We appreciate anyone who gives us anything at all because that's what makes it possible. And as you know, 2024, it's harder than ever to make content and afford to pay for staff and editors and all those people we like to
I don't
pay
want to make
on
content.
this
If you just
podcast.
want to hang out, let's do it. Let's watch a movie. Let's watch me be mad at Demolition Man the whole time.
Yeah.
Why would you be mad at it? The movie's great.
It's such a smug, this is the future liberals want sort of a movie. I like Wesley
Sure.
Snipes. He fucking rules in everything, but like, I don't know.
I don't know. That movie's like super fun. I get what you're saying, but
Yeah, but it doesn't hold up on rewatching. You watch other stuff from that era, like Time Cop, that is like always been
That's fair.
schlocky and fun, and it's still good.
Yeah, I don't
I've only
watch
seen
that,
Demolition Man
actually.
once, and I watched it for the first time on like New Year's Eve this year. So
I mean, the
this what
first watch of Demolition Man, you was like, I can't fucking believe they made this movie.
it was pretty great. I was in the same demographic as our audience that episode, or rather when I watched it. So
I may have watched it in theaters.
Jesus,
I'm very old.
you are very old. That's okay.
I'm old enough to know that it was originally a Police song before Grace Jones covered it.
Question for you about the flask bit. Is that technically not prop comedy?
Yeah, but it's still a higher form of comedy than improv, I think.
It was a
Well,
good bit, but it is prop comedy. I just need you to
I
know.
accused my daughter of doing a pratfall. I called that a physical bit, and I said I didn't respect it.
A pratfall? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
where
when you pretend to fall down?
I thought it was where he jumps over the waterfall in Jurassic World.
That's a pratfall with 2 T's. That's when your popularity falls because people understand what kind of person you are.
You say you have one healthy kid and one time. People note that you have 2 kids, and all of a sudden you're the asshole because you complimented your kid. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the wonderful world of Magic, Modern Horizons 3 has hit shelves. Pre-releases have happened, and people are playing with these cards for the first time. I have a list of cards that in my testing have overperformed. If you want to get into that,
I pre-released.
anybody wanna hear
I
about
enjoyed
that?
it. It was fun. I'd love to talk about Magic. I love last week when JJ and I were rocking the 2-person cast. Cass had sent in a pick that was related to Nadu, and JJ and I had a good 10-15 minutes before the show where we just read all the words on Nadu. Winged Wisdom, I believe it is. And then-
Winged Wisdom.
Yeah, and then all the words on all the other cards around it, trying to decipher what Cass's pick could have meant in context here, what was going on.
What was
It was
that
very
card?
fun.
I wasn't here.
It was Outriders Encore.
Oh, for the infinite targeting?
Yeah. Well, not fully infinite, but yeah, like, it's just an Encore creature, so you can target each of your creatures twice on your turn, then twice more on your opponent's turn. So you just get Nadu and that into play with, like, any other creatures. The first time I played it, I got both into play with 4 other creatures in play. I drew, 12 cards on my turn, passed my opponent's upkeep, drew 12 more. Some number of those were lands that went into play, and then I just, like, had 2 face-up Flare of Denials, 2 face-up Solitudes, and 2 face-up white cards. My opponent was just like, oh, I'm dead.
I'm not going to say that I've been, like, EDH specializing for too long, but when you were talking about the Encore, I'm like, you f***ing idiot, that's a white card. Like, that was my first thought. Like, that can't even go in that deck.
Because it's Simic.
Yeah.
You know, Shuko can go in that deck, though.
Oh man. Well, Cass, let's
hard
get Nadu out of the way first. I think people are most interested in this, and they're interested to hear what you have to say. I've been somewhat deep in sort of modern prep as we get ready for the Pro Tour. You've been deep in games. What are you seeing?
So I'll deal with the bird in the room first. Nadu. I don't know if Nadu is, like, actually going to be a problem in Modern, but it's going to be a deck in Modern, and I think it is actually a problem in Legacy. Someone, I believe it was Brian Koval, was the first to point out that if you have Field of the Dead in your deck, Nadu flips, lands produce new creatures which can each be targeted twice.
Oh, no.
Which means you can get more lands, which means you can get more creatures, and you just flip your whole deck and then cast a Thassa's Oracle. Because Nadu puts the lands into play, untapped if they come in untapped normally. The deck, a buddy of mine, D Batterskull on Twitter, they, I think, won or maybe split the finals of a fairly large Legacy event in California with 80-card Yorion Cephalid Breakfast with Nadu in it because you're already playing a bunch of Encore creatures, and I built the deck to play some games. I won a game where my opponent started with Leyland on turn 0, and I just turn 4, drew my entire 80-card deck. Like, every card was in my hand or in play or my graveyard, and I just cast Thassa's Oracle.
I mean, I've seen plenty of Twitter threads memeing about how, or like, why is 1 blue-green a problematic blind spot of a mana cost?
It's because blue-green cards kind of suck. Like, Simic cards kind of suck in Constructed, and so they have to push the ones really hard, and they always end up pushing them too far.
And this was them, like, getting overconfident, because they're like, look, now we can explore the design space where it only triggers once or twice, so it doesn't get out of hand. Whoops.
The card reeks of Skullclamp to me, where, like, something was changed last minute.
Yeah.
Because it's so close to being reasonable in so many ways.
Maybe this only triggers once each turn?
I don't even know if that would necessarily change it. It's the creatures you control as opposed to just Nadu. Yeah. That is a line that is underexplored in Magic design for reasons like this.
This is their first time like pushing something that had that restriction because it's really new design space exploration.
Right.
And it seems like their first mess up.
The worst part about Nadu is if you just play a new Nadu, all of your things reset. You can target everything twice more because the ability is tied to Nadu. If you flicker the Nadu,
new ability.
You get a new instant ability.
Which is why it's going to be so insane with Displacer Kit and EDH.
Well, it's also just one of those things where you can flip 3 untapped lands in a Nadu to your Nadu and then just play it, and you're like, oh, I have 10 more flips. And every land that you flip that's untapped, and every creature you flipped is just 2 more flips. Yeah. If you flip a Gaia's Cradle, you make mana for all of your creatures, and you just play all the creatures that you've drawn off Nadu, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
I do think that the card is a lot worse when you can't play white cards with it, because the Encore are so good with it, but like, Lightning Greaves, Shuko, Umbral Mantle, all are colorless cards with 0 target activations. And Displacer Kitten's actually a card I hadn't thought of. That card is probably just bananas, right?
Can I say something else? Bananas? Tell me if you think this is too bananas. Astral Slide.
Almost certainly not good enough for any real format. But like,
come on. That'd be hilarious.
Kind of stick with it. Flickering your Nadu every time you cycle a card is pretty sweet. But I think Displacer Kitten will ultimately end up being better.
It's very interesting that it adds that angle to Cephalid Breakfast, because Cephalid Breakfast on paper is one of the most broken legacy decks in existence. You can play a game-ending combo, winning the game on the spot on turn 2 with multiple counterspell backup. It's that powerful in a vacuum. However, it is all in on its combo, and that combo requires the graveyard and requires your creatures, and it is what it is. It's just kind of straightforward and therefore can somewhat be planned against. When you add this entirely new angle where mulliganing to leyline or whatever doesn't stop it, that opens up a whole new world of brokenness.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we have the corollary here. We have, hey, Dredge is fine, Leyline of the Void is okay. Oh wait, they can Hogak now, and they can mill you with Ultra Potentia. They can put 30 power into play. Like linear combo is fine, but linear combo with 16
It
arms
turns out it's just a really ridiculous payoff that doesn't have to win the game of the combo. I like it.
One of the coolest things about the 80-card Nadu breakfast deck, which people are calling Fruit Loops, which is pretty clever. Although Fruit Loops
I was going to go with
previously.
I was on Cephalid Brunch myself.
I don't remember Fruit Loops.
I might be misremembering, but he's Toucan Sam, right? That's the joke.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things about it is that the deck's a Stoneforge deck because Shugo's an equipment, but also the card Pre-War Formal Wear brings back Nadu or any of the creatures. And because you play Yorion, you'll get into situations where you'll have a pre-war formal wear in play, a creature in play, you'll Yorion flicker your pre-war formal wear, it comes back EOT. You'll just get back to the half of the combo, and if the half of the combo is Nadu, you'll just draw your deck before your next turn.
I like seeing Fallout cards up Legacy. I love that.
All right, so the question is then, Cass, so we're talking about it. You said you thought not a problem in Modern, just strong, maybe a problem.
Maybe not a problem.
Sure. Yeah, it could be a problem, right? It's certainly going to... There's going to be people now who have checking notes. It's the 11th of June when we're recording this. The Pro Tour is at the end of the month. People have 3 weeks to do nothing but grind Nadu in Modern. I wouldn't be surprised if it pops up in Omnath type decks that just kind of accumulate. It's just probably good enough if you can get enough things into your deck. Anyway, so what do you think is not to put you on the spot, but are you talking ban level worthy, or is this just this is going to be a real player in Legacy immediately?
I'm loath to ever call for bans because I don't really think me having an opinion on that matters. But
that's I'm just trying to understand the power level of where you see it.
You have the largest card pool possible to solve those problems already.
Well, yeah, and it's honestly it's less about the but where on this power scale, right? Are you putting it?
This feels more powerful in relative to the Legacy format. Playing with this Nadu Breakfast deck feels more powerful than playing Hogak did relative to the Modern format at the time.
Yikes.
But also that's just because I'm playing against people's unrefined week 1 decks, and obviously this is unrefined, but it's just so powerful and linear. I also think that in Modern, if Nadu doesn't win the Pro Tour, the card's probably fine in Modern. That's kind of where I'm at.
I think that it is going to be extremely good. I think it may end up being better in a deck, and I don't know the cards right offhand, but if there's decks that rather than be all in on it as a combo, decks that find a way to fairly play it, if you think about the decks that used to play the Flash Death Touch Snake, Ice Fang Codal, right? Mm-hmm. If that style of deck is a thing and you can work Nadu into that sort of thing, that shell I think is where they kind of envision it, and it'd be really sweet.
I think people are probably already exploring some of those Simic avenues.
What's nice about Ice Fang and Coiling Oracle is they both sacrifice to 2 different flayers. The blue flare especially. So the Nadu deck I've been playing in Modern is an Aether Vial with a couple of Urza Sagas, Recruiter of the Guard defined, Outriders Encore, 4 Coiling Oracle, 4 Ice Fang Coatl, Nadu deck. That's kind of mostly all in on the combo, but obviously just can do more fair stuff that wins eventually with Ephemerate, Eternal Witness, Time Warp.
The old... Wow. Shota? Yasuoka 2013 Players Championship deck?
Wasn't
that
No, but it was Eternal. Yeah.
It was Cryptic Command.
Yeah. Yeah, it had the loop back then as well to loop Time Warp.
I used to use Echoing Truth for Eternal Witness because you can use one of the 8 witnesses to get the truth back. I was doing that in Standard.
That's a great one.
I've been on Simic Bolt since 2002, baby.
Well, I was going to say on the note of Simic, it's Simic's sort of flavor pie is ramp, which is inherently sort of broken when you combine ramp and card draw, right? Just a blue-green, right? And so they leaned into other things like counters and copying and things like that. And those effects are just generally dog water and constructed. So what is they really just kind of it's you're pigeonholed into the only time to make Simic sort of matter is when it's going to be a card draw meets ramp effect. as inherently broken. And sometimes they land fine, like say Joint Exploration. Growth Spiral was actually kind of on the low end of broken in that format. No one talked about that. How Growth Spiral and the Reclamation on turn 3 was insane. But do what?
Didn't Growth Spiral get banned in Standard?
Oh, did it really? I
think so.
That would make sense. There you go.
So
I didn't recall everything that got banned. We had a ton of bans.
Kind of a fever dream, but
yeah, like everything got banned back. Sure. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there you go. It was another blue-green ramp card that was a problem.
Corbin. Counterpoint: Oko does not ramp, nor does it draw you cards.
You're right.
It does invalidate the card type permanent, though.
It did. It did beat the hell out of me in Limited the other day. Love running into that one in draft.
Oh,
very fun.
The moment I knew that Oko would be too far gone was I resolved a turn 2 Gristlebrand and drew 14 cards in Legacy and lost the game because my opponent just elked every threat I put into play for the rest of the game.
I just lost the game.
69% Oko rate at the Pro Tour. Never forget.
I actually have a list of cards that in my playtesting have overperformed. First on my list is Ral Monsoon Mage, and I believe that this is no secret because Aspiring Spike's been talking about it a lot. I believe the card has spiked pretty substantially in the last couple of days.
It's no longer aspirational if it's spiking.
There you go.
Whoa.
Ral and Ruby, a Medalion both being printed in the same set, has sort of created this like deck that plays 10 to 12 cards that impulse draw, Past in Flames, Rituals, Grape Shot, Kill You Eventually deck. And it's pretty trivial to just like flip Ral and then minus 8 it immediately and win the game. Additionally, I think that Ral doesn't go in any deck except for that for now, and so the price on it might not hold as people who don't want to play Mono Red Storm move off of it, but I also could be wrong. You never know.
Be a Pro Tour
the next card on my list,
sure.
Tamiyo Inquisitive
So you
Scholar.
don't think it'll be like the next Flip Jace or not Flip Jace?
But what I do think will be a next ubiquitous Flip Planeswalker is Tamiyo Inquisitive Scholar.
Oh, yeah. That's a sick
kind of
card.
hard to evaluate, but every modern Murktide player seems to be very high on it. They think it's better than Ragavan. It notably is a wizard for Flame of Anor. Mox Amber Underworld Breach decks could play it, and Blue Legends are important in those decks with Emery.
I do think it is very funny that flipping this card almost feels like a downside.
A lot of times, yeah.
Because it is not optional, and the backside of the Planeswalker does not do anything. Like,
But I think you have a lot of control over when you do it.
Yeah, sure. I do think the coolest interaction is that you can ult it and kill yourself when they have Orcish Bowmaster.
Yeah. The card lines up pretty poorly against Orcish Bowmaster, which makes me think it's going to be best in like Grixis decks with Lightning Bolt or
if you get a way to clear their Bowmaster first,
yeah, like instant speed, especially like maybe Bant decks or something. The card has been very impressive, and it's also been somewhat impressive in Legacy. I think the shells are a lot harder to figure out there, but a lot of players I respect are very high on it. Especially Minguchi talks about it a lot. Has been talking about it a lot for the last couple days.
Now, can we talk about my favorite card in the set, and you can tell me if it's on your list or not?
Mm-hmm. Go on.
There's no surprise this is a landfall card. Can you guess?
Is it Springheart Nantuko?
It is Springheart Nantuko. What a magical The Gathering card. It makes
Combo
copies of creatures on landfall. So good. Love it. Is that something you're looking at?
Yes, I was playing some pickup games against one of my locals who's what I refer to as an Amulet Titan pervert. And he turns the Springheart Nantuko face up and says, so I'm going to make Infinite Dryad of the Elysian Groves, but I can't kill you this turn, and then passes the turn. And I draw, and I start going off with Nadu and realize I'm like 1 mana short from going infinite and taking infinite turns, and I'm just like, well, I guess you win. How did that combo work, by the way? And he explains it, and the fact that there's just a 1 card, it costs you 1 card in your deck, and the rest of the combo is just cards you'd already play in Amulet,
Yep.
and you can make infinite creatures, and if you have like a Valakut in play, you win, or if you have a Titan in play, you win. It's just... It's like Springheart Nantuko, Amulet of Vigor, Bounce Land, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. That's the whole combo, I think, right? Because you make a new Dryad, which gives you an extra land drop. Once you play it, an Amulet, untap it, tap it, bounce it.
That's why Bounce Lands are such disgusting cards.
Yeah.
It also works with Nadu.
Yep.
I'm definitely a multiple Bounce Land pervert.
I love Bounce Lands in like fair green-black Knight of the Reliquary, like White of the Reliquary decks, where your opponent goes to Wasteland, your Urza's Saga, and you're just like, I'll pick it up. But what about it? I'll never actually do it in like a real format, but I love it spiritually. I'm gonna bang through a couple more cards here. I don't have a lot to say about.
It's like going getting a Sajiri step, but for your lands.
Speaking of Sajiri steps, this isn't on my list, but the card from the Commander Precon, Talon, Gates of Madara, is basically an upgrade to Sajiri step in all formats that Sajiri step is played in. It is a land that on ETB phases a creature out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you
this
can get your
card's
opponent's
cool.
creatures with it too. And it can also come into play at instant speed from your hand.
Yeah, this card's sick.
Yeah.
Love this one.
All the green-black, or all the green-white Depths players I know and the Cradle Control players I know are very excited about this one. Additionally, Lazotep Quarry is something that I've seen people talking about in Cradle Control. The Commander decks have a lot of juice in them, but that's less what I'm talking about today. I'm sure we can get to that sometime. But just to bang out a couple of cards that have really impressed me that I don't have a ton to say about.
Get banging! What are you waiting
Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf has been just like impressive on rate. Eldrazi Linebreaker kills people so quickly. I had a game against Eternal Weekend champion and finalist Jay Wojciechowski, where he passes the turn. I draw step, or main phase, resolve my Urza Saga Chapter 3, put a Vexing Bobble into play, and he just says, oh, as he reveals 2 Force of Wills and 2 blue cards in his hand, and I just like get to resolve Loam Crop Rotation and kill him. Obviously, Nadu is busted. Kozilek's Command has really overperformed. If you choose the Scions mode, you basically get a rebate on all the mana you spent on it, except for the 2 colorless. Detective's Phoenix has been really cool as a way to give Death Shadow haste out of nowhere and flying. And then my personal favorite card that I've played with recently is Wrath of Skies. Notably, Reed gave it a 5 out of 5 on the constructed review on Channel Fireball, which means he thinks it's going to be a multi-format all-star, and I kind of agree. It's kind of got like Pernicious Deed vibes, and if you're doing any amount of producing energy otherwise, it just is a 2-mana Wrath that also gets artifacts and enchantments, which control decks love to deal with.
Yeah, that is actually pretty sick, because you can... The idea here is not that, it's a 2-mana Wrath, you play it on turn 2. You don't need to do that. It's that you can Wrath and double spell. You can double spell on like turn 5 or 6 or whatever, and just turn the corner and clear the board all at once.
It also just is a way to get X energy, which is kind of cool. I've been playing a little bit with like a 4-color, 1-ring counter spell control deck, where I just on turn 4 you can Wrath of Skies for 2 or 3 because you played a couple of like Galvanic Discharges or Tune the Narratives, and you just hold counter spell out. Like Wrath plus counter spell on turn 4 pass. Like how does any deck beat that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, speaking of how does any deck beat that, so I've noticed that it seems like the people who are going to try to do Necropotence type perverted have already discovered all of the like 0-mana drain life spells, and those are already starting to move. It seems like a little late for that stuff, but something that I think will take a little bit longer to figure out would be power balance. Is there anything you think that could be on the move if power balance gets figured out?
I don't have high hopes for that card for a lot of reasons.
Sure.
The card also just sort of has trouble being expensive because I believe it is the bundle promo. But if it does see play, cards like... I think it would just have to be in Legacy where you have access to Brainstorm proper.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I did see something cool on Twitter today about there's a 3-mana colorless Eldrazi that if you have 2 Sensei's tops, like in Vintage, it just kills them instantly.
Is that the Glaring Fleshraker?
Glaring Fleshraker, yeah. So when you cast a colorless spell, you create an 0/1 Eldrazi spawn with sacrifice this creature, add a colorless. And whenever a colorless creature is an elf under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So you just cast a top, make a spawn, flip it, draw the other top, flip tops, and kill them.
Wow.
Very cool.
Funny. I like that.
Probably just like a great Saga deck because Saga casts the Fleshraker and also finds tops.
Well, that's my break in bulk then, because Glaring Fleshraker is barely above bulk right now.
Do y'all want to break some bulk? Well, actually, real quick, get back to your question. Necrodominance.
Yeah.
You mentioned people have already got all of the free drain spells, but I think something people aren't realizing is that the card Born Upon a Wind has been creeping up.
Yes, it has been.
And that's been for other reasons, too. That's just like a very cool card.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, since about April, since I think about the time the league started, it's up from like $1.86 to like almost $3. Because it's one of the best ways to win the game on your own instep. I think much better than like Leyline of Anticipation, which is also a card that could see movement if Necrodominance is good.
Well, we saw a Quicken spike in the past, too, when Quicken only had 1 printing, I think. So
yeah. People love this kind of effect
that
at
happens every
base.
once in a while.
Yeah.
Also, Born Upon a Wind is a card I've looked at for multiple commander decks, all the time. Right? It's just on the edge.
It quickens all of your spells for 2 mana.
It's great. It cycles. For me, it's the cycling. I can just cycle it on turn 3 or 4 when it doesn't need to do it.
For me, it's the cycling, said the guy who has a Keranos deck. Get the fuck out of here.
That's exactly where I want it, yeah.
I think this card also will see legacy play, and someone's going to, turn 1, Dark Ritual, Necrodominance, Lion's Eye Diamond, say go. Necrodominance trigger on the stack, crack LED for blue, draw 19 cards, cast Born Upon a Wind, win the game. Someone's going to do that. It's not going to be me, but someone's going to do it.
All right. I think it is time to break some bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Ooh.
I have a banger right out the gate.
A banger. You have a sausage.
A sausage.
Do you have any mash for that banger?
How do we
You
feel about
expect me to raw dog a banger with no mash? Okay, how about a tin of room temperature beans? You got any beans?
Is this like a character work TikTok?
What a HP sauce? Do you have any HP sauce for the banger? Huh?
I was about to ask if the exaggerated face counts as prop comedy.
Your face is a prop.
Does your mum count as prop?
That's just
Look, I'm Jimmy
physical.
Carr.
That's just
Does
physical
your mum
comedy.
count as prop comedy?
Is mom a prop?
How do we all feel about a time spiral proper, white, uncommon?
Pull from Eternity?
Or
No, I love that card, but no.
Flanker and core.
Nope.
Or whatever white. There was a core.
That card's a common, I believe. Might actually be
that?
uncommon, but it's not it.
Is it the Spirit Loop?
You got it. Wow, it's Spirit Loop.
Lifelink.
Fun fact about that card
No, it's not
is
lifelink.
it has. It's not
You're
lifelink.
right.
It's a triggered
You're
ability
right.
version of lifelink.
You're right.
Notably, that card has a direct premium of almost $7, and there are sales at over $7 for Spirit Loop, despite the card being $1 low.
Great.
And there are buy lists substantiating up to 75 cents.
That wasn't in Time Spiral Remastered, was it?
No, it was just it's 0 reprints, just Time Spiral.
Okay,
Weird
that would
art
be
by Wayne
embarrassing
Reynolds.
if
It
that
looks really
had
cool.
a $7 premium and a reprint.
That would explain it.
Yeah.
Cool.
A great way to give your commander double lifelink. And it's hard to get rid of because it has the rank
Because
text.
and there's what's their nuts? And a Ernakurnerud is a flying lifelinker, and it cares about auras. It doubles the auras attached. So Spirit Loop, you make multiple copies of Spirit Loop, and it actually matters. Like Spirit Link wouldn't, or anything that gave it the keyword lifelink doesn't stack. But any multiple Spirit Loop stack. So for Ernakurnerud, that card is stupid. It's insane.
actually might be
Other stuff
part of
that's
why-
great is Sage's Reverie, which might have some. It's not quite as old, but I might look at Sage's Reverie and maybe the recently banned All That Glitters. But yeah, as far as Arna Kernerud stuff, Nettle Cyst is probably the best way to make anything.
Oh.
I don't know. Just go to Arna Kernerud's page. I don't do this anymore for a living. I taught you how to do it. Go do it yourself. Motherfuckers.
You taught the man to
mine.
fish, now he needs to go fish.
Yeah. Leave me alone. I'm on vacation. You know what I don't do on vacation? Fish.
I have a blue Urza's Destiny common.
Is it the weird
Is it
blue
the-
guy with the long face, like shooting an arrow?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is.
I don't know the card's name, but I know the art.
Training or something? You get training counters?
I expected Jason to slam the ability to finish the layout, but no, it does not give training counters.
It's
It gives a creature a pinger ability, maybe?
That part's correct.
I don't know the name of the card. It's like one in a blue.
It is just
Hermetic-
one blue.
Hermetic
One blue,
Study
okay.
was Saga.
Yeah.
It gives it the pinger ability?
Well, it gives an ability that you want on a Prodigal Pyromancer.
like-
You want to put this on a
Oh.
Yeah.
It gives it I don't remember this card. I remember
I'll take partial credit.
Sigil of Sleep makes unsummon.
Oh, Sigil of Sleep.
unsummons.
That's right. Yeah, this is the 2 mana thing.
Yes. It's 1 mana.
It's 1 mana.
The blue guy with the long face shooting an
Yeah,
arrow.
the blue guy. That's.
Blue guy, long face, arrow.
It's got a
shooting
funny
card.
little guy on it.
It's got a funny little guy, and it is $1.09 market price, and foils are $1 million because they don't exist. Because again, it's an Urza's Destiny card. And the only other printing of this is Dual Deck Venzer versus Koth. If you are a new border appreciator, and if you're not, and you want a foil, fork over the $20+ or pay an absurd premium because you will not be able to find this in good condition in foil. And so it'll probably get reprinted at some point. There's probably weird design restraints as to why it's not been in a Commander precon yet. But as long as it's not reprinted, it'll just keep chugging along because you, like Cass said, you want to put it on your tapping pingers and just not have to deal with the combat step, because it's, again, just like Spirit Loop, it is any damage to any player.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right, I've got one here from a throwback set.
What is your definition of a throwback set?
Well, that's what I was going to get to. You're going to find out, DJ, if you just hang in there for a minute. It's Battle for Zendikar.
Corbin, how many years ago was Battle for Zendikar? I want you to say it.
It was 7. A while back, and I wish we
could.
It was
7 years. It was 7 years ago, possibly 8. Do you know?
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2016.
What color is it?
It was 8 years ago. It's a black uncommon.
Is it the Balaged enchantment?
It is not Zulaport Cutthroat.
No, it's the Balaged. Like whenever landfall, you ping or you drain or
Hagra something.
I think it's retreat to Balaged.
Oh yeah, it would. It's a retreat.
Combined, you all have it. It's retreat to Hagra.
The black one's retreat to the Hagra. The Hagra.
Oh, Balaged's green, isn't it?
No, it's just it. I'm not. Maybe it's Balaged Recover. It's Balaged Recovery
is a
in the new
green
one.
Place on Zendikar.
Yeah. However, this black card is retreat to Hagra. It is a 3-mana.
The green one's retreat to Kazandu.
Yeah, I always think Balaged is black because of Balaged's Scorpion. It reminds the Eldrazi Limited.
Oh yeah, I love that. Oh, I wanted to play that. Anyway, draft. I'm sorry. This is a 3-mana retreat to Hagra. Landfall. Target creature gets +1/0 and Death Touch. Each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. I presume it's that second ability that makes it worth money. It's worth about 60 cents. I checked. It's 30+ cents on the buy list, the Card Kingdom, which seems pretty real these days. I think that's pretty good. Fun fact, Retreat to Hagra is a $7 foil. So,
it's good with White of the Reliquary and Bloodghast, I guess.
Yeah.
Also true.
Yeah.
Retreat to Coralhelm got too many printings for it to be worth that much. So like the lesser,
it's still worth like 75 cents, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that card would be worth a lot more for the reprints, right?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Jason, what are you looking at?
Well, in honor of Modern Horizons, I have a Modern Horizons 2 gold card. It is a common creature.
Mage 2 gold common creature.
I do not know this set as well as I wish I did.
It is a 2/2.
Can we get the colors?
That's gonna give it away.
It's gold. Yeah, we don't need the color. It's gold.
That's a lot of info.
It is a lot.
I can't think of any cards that fit this description in MH2.
Okay, this is a... It's a color shifted version of something with the same
Goblin Anarchist.
An Archomancer.
Oh, an Archomancer.
Same thing. But
it goes in the Spike Storm deck.
Yeah. It goes in the Shaman deck.
Yep, and recently Roshin Roaring Prophet. Once
true.
Spell cost reducers like this, so stop sending these to me in bulk, or keep sending these to me in bulk.
Mm-hmm. One of my first casual commander decks ever was Roshin Meanderer. And so seeing a new Roshin was it made my casual heart happy.
I built multiple versions of the 5-color Omnath, and one of them is X spells.
There you go. Consider your bulk braked Broken.
It has already
Busted.
been
Breaking.
It's already
Doing
been
an
breaking.
ad read.
Pop it.
Well, we want to give
Mock it.
credit to all of these picks that will be coming to you later, and all these breaking bulks we just did, of course. All courtesy of MTG Stocks, the best place for financial information on the internet when it comes to Magic. I have been perusing the premium side of the site myself recently, as well, including the monthly interests, which I find very helpful when I'm writing my articles on TCG Player. So we appreciate MTG Stocks, generous sponsor of this podcast, and the place we go for all of our own Magic financial information to keep up to date, to relay that information to you. All right, moving on to the next thing on the docket here. It says other bulk.
Corbin, get your kid to say other bull.
Can you say other bulk? He says no. All right, well, while the rest of us were just chilling at home all weekend playing some Modern Horizons 3, at least that's what I was doing and what Cass was doing, and Jason was working on his roof or something. DJ, what? Do you get it? Because it's shingles. DJ was at an event in Las Vegas.
Yes, I was at what you could technically call an event. This
You could technically call that a handoff.
So Vegas has historically been this this grandiose achievement for Magic events. It's kind of turned into over the past 10 years, it's sort of like become the mecca of yearly Magic events, where the first one was, I believe, still the largest tournament of all time ever held for a Magic tournament. And it slowly died down over the next few years, but then it had a big resurgence after the first one after COVID, in the bad event hall that nobody wanted to go to a couple years ago. And I mean, it's just always held this huge weight on its shoulders of the go-to event of Magic of the year. You have to go to Vegas. Are you going to go to Vegas? And last year's Vegas, the Magic Con, was very underwhelming for a Vegas. I believe there were the fact that there were other Magic Cons spread out over the course of the year kind of helped with that, and maybe it was just like it didn't live up to the hype that was given to it. But so a slight decline in the Vegas spectrum from the past few years, and this past SCG Con, not a Magic Fest, an SCG Con, was one of the worst attended Magic events that I have ever worked. And I have worked probably at least 100 Magic events, I'd say, over the past several years.
Okay,
better or worse than your average Richmond?
There's lots of events that are better or worse attended. What is the why in your opinion?
Worse than the average Richmond, I would say.
Wow.
I do not think I did there was one drop-off buy on Sunday. I do not think that a actual transaction happened on Sunday.
For anybody or just for you?
For either of the two buyers we had remaining.
Holy shit.
We started.
What was the deal,
weekend,
DJ? Like, did they have reasons? Like, what?
Well, so we started the weekend with 4 buyers, and we were effectively down to 2 by Sunday, and we were just sort of window dressing on the booth. We were just kind of looking around, but a lot of vintage cube happened over the weekend. I'll put it that way. We crowdsourced some vintage cube decks. It was bad. I think a part of that was there is another Vegas at the end of the year. So the last Magic Con of the year is Las Vegas. And so that may have some level of, I'll do that one at the end of the year. If I'm going to go to this city, I will go when it is October and not June. I was there the whole week just for other reasons, but it was 110 out the entire week, which temperature does have an effect. And
can you imagine it's that hot and some asshole wants you to ride out to the middle of the desert to watch him get married?
If we were friends when you did that wedding, I would have been like, sorry, can't make it. I'm gonna be real with you.
That's okay.
It was actually
met that Vegas. I think that was the Vegas we met. Like,
I think I met you for the first time inside tacos and beer.
No, it was the Westgate lobby we were cubing.
That's right.
You met me for the first time at Tacos and Beer.
I believe that.
And,
I was wasted that night. Holy crap.
And so the marketing for this event was extremely poor. I had several people. The few transactions I did have from some locals were, oh, I learned this was a thing over the weekend, or oh, I learned that this event was happening just recently. I didn't hear SCG talk about it, so there was. It seemed effectively no marketing, and I'm not the target demographic for a lot of Magic.
Well, they did what they always do is they invited a bunch of content creators. It's like, yeah, we'll pay you tens of thousands of dollars to be here, and they're like, oh, I better retweet that thing saying I'm invited, and then nobody knows. I follow all those people, and I didn't see a single thing about it.
Like, where else would you learn about an SCG Open happening? On the coverage stream?
Yeah.
I was gonna wait and ask, where can I watch all of this?
The only reason that East Coast SCG events get attendance in the way that they do these days is because, one, they've been doing it there for so long, and two, you go to your LGS and the sickos who actually just like refresh scgcon.com every day, like I do, tell you about it. If you're in Vegas, like, no one's doing that. There's just no enfranchised.
Well, and that's the thing to remember about Magic, about Wizards, about SC, all of this stuff is that everything cycles. About content creation, everything cycles every 3 to 5 years. So, like, people who are big and all over the place now, I don't know how many people over the past 15 years that I've been doing this are huge on Twitter 1 year. They're everywhere. You think that, then they're just like gone 3 years later, right? And that is not
as soon as you can make money doing literally anything else, you seize that opportunity.
Well, and it's not just content creation. It's emblematic of all of Magic. It's cycles. Magic players, for all the thing of Magic players keeping their stuff forever, blah blah blah. It cycles a lot. So
the old guard of us who have been invested in this game heavily for over a decade are very few and far between. Yes.
Yeah, and like, speaking as someone who's experienced from the, like, what people talk about, what they watch on the internet, I had the experience of, like, doing a lot of YouTube to doing no YouTube, and it's like you're dead to people within a couple years, which we've always known. It is what it is, but you're all like, that's just something to realize, is that makes it a very stark experience to see how the player base shifts and changes. So with that said, your SCG, what does that mean in 2024? It doesn't mean what it meant in 2018. What does it mean? What does it mean to someone who picked up Magic in 2021? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. But I think it sort of does in the areas where it was a hotbed for SCG, because there's
correct.
You go to your local FM and you're playing Magic with SCG Open champions way more often than you do when you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, but that's ironically a testament to how good of a job they've done over the past several decades of making it mean something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I see people talking about NRG stuff. I don't see people talking about SCG stuff, and I don't know if it's just a function of Roanoke's not the hotbed it used to be at this moment in time. Blah blah blah. But
if people are traveling less, then
the lack of coverage stream is a part of it.
To be more regional, yeah.
Well, no one knows who wins an SCG event anymore.
I have been a known person who does not really care about coverage for a while now, and part of my argument has been that it does not give them a return on their investment. However, it's really tough for me to continue to make that argument when they fly 30 content creators out and spend $2,000 on each of them to get them there for the weekend. Like, that is arguably a less return on investment than coverage would be.
It's hella less, because no one's ever going to go back and watch it. You know what's being streamed at this very second on Twitch? An old SCG Open, because people just stream it 24/7 because people love to watch it. No one's putting on your content creator retweet. And I'm not dismissing that as a valuable marketing.
Right. There is a value to having those people there and to bringing CEDH people to play with and personalities to interact with. There is a value to that, but it's not on either side of the spectrum of bring 30 creators and do no coverage, or do coverage and have nobody show up that you care about. There is a spectrum there.
Do you think, how well viewed do you think a CEDH tournament stream would be? I think that'd be sick.
I do too.
It would be very popular.
That's because you're a sicko. Only sickos would watch it.
I think it would be very
popular.
Like
Drake Sasser and like
Ian and Lua.
Cal. Yeah, just like, well, those people, the people who like CEDH but aren't like super constantly playing it. Get them to do commentary? Are you kidding me? I don't even like CEDH that much, and I would watch that.
I would read articles by both of those guys on commandersherald.com.
I'm here to make that stream happen. Someone wants to sponsor that stream, we'll make it happen.
And so
these events, I do think CEDH tournaments are going to be more and more of a thing, and coverage is going to eventually follow.
I don't want to say that. I don't think this event is a death knell for Magic. I don't think it's a death knell for Magic on the West Coast, because I was just in San Francisco in April. That event was incredible. That event was also in a bad part of San Francisco that locals didn't want to go to. It was a Laughing Dragon event, not an SCG, but it was very good. We were busy all 3 days. I was just buying almost nonstop every single transaction. We had a line. It was great. So there is a variance here, and there is some level of marketing that goes into that. I mean, Laughing Dragon is on the upswing with their attempts at garnering, sort of being this flag bearer of the West Coast Magic scene. But there are also plenty of logistical challenges that come with that too. I mean, convention centers on the West Coast are way more expensive if you want to be in any sort of remotely accessible area. Like Vegas is probably less expensive comparatively because of the options you can have, but like if you want to be anywhere near San Francisco, LA, Seattle, like any of these West Coast hotbeds, like it's a lot more of a commitment for players to go to, logistically driving or flying, and like it is more of a challenge to generate that sort of SCG style brand on the West Coast, because there's just more of an island system.
I think they thought Vegas would do a lot of the work.
Maybe.
The problem is Vegas kind of sucks now. It's like also more expensive to go to Vegas than it used to be relative to other flights.
Part of it is
Vegas, and the Vegas experience sucks. So like what you're actually doing when you hold a Magic event in Vegas, in a lot of ways, is asking people to spend like a minimum of $1,000, because you're just not going to go to Vegas and spend 4 days there without spending money. I don't care what you do. You can go to McDonald's for 4 days in a row.
I was buying $9 Gatorades in the gift shop.
Right, like that's what I'm saying, and this is like. But of course, if people actually go to Vegas, they're going to do something, even if it's just a little bit, and they just go eat, right? And the next thing you know, you're hundreds of dollars in. You have a hotel room, you have the event, and it's $1,000 to go. So, and you're absolutely right. If people are going to make a Vegas plan, I have friend groups right now making plans for Vegas, and guess what? They chose MagicCon, not SCGCon.
And I will say part of, if not the main reason this event even happens, is rooting back to sort of SCG's the fact that they are a real company, for lack of a better explanation, but them being a real company means that there are a lot more restrictions on travel and driving time and like getting the truck and the products to Vegas. And so if you go back into the SCG history and look at all of the dates and sort of red string and board tack this out, you will notice that there is always a SCG Las Vegas the weekend after an SCG Dallas, and that is because that is how you make that work logistically, is you drive the couple days, get the 8 hours in per employee driving, do the event in Dallas, and then you go do the same thing in Vegas, and then you come back home. So like breaking that up and having it be, because SCG is not like flying all these things to their shows, they are driving and they have to respect Department of Transportation laws and like all these other regulations that exist for a reason. But like that is how you get SCG Las Vegas at a weird and awkward time, is you have somebody saying, well, we're doing Dallas here, can we squeeze a Vegas in, because that is the only time we're going to get to go to the West Coast.
Yeah. All right, well said. Well, these are all, of course, sort of systemic problems to the fact that the West Coast is very large.
And this is going to have impacts and flow into next year because SCG is taking over the RCs. Yes. So this is going to really put a strain and test and pressure on some of the upper members of Star City on what they can pull off and how many rabbits they can pull out of their hat with like logistics for convention centers and like how they can put on these regional championships that have shown to have upwards of 2,000 people at them, because that's what the regional championships are now. The RCs are the old GPs. Denver had
there's two. There's going to be
Chicago, two. Like Dallas was huge. There's
going to be 2 a year in the United States.
after
Or two
RC
cycle.
DC,
Yeah.
which is actually taking place in Dulles, not DC. Every RC is going to be split into a West Coast and an East Coast one, and you have to qualify for each one separately, I believe, which should alleviate a lot of that strain.
I don't know the
What?
answer to that.
You say Dallas?
Dulles,
Yeah,
Dulles.
you say it like that. Are you Charles
like
Barkley?
International Airport Dulles in Virginia.
The place where all GPDCs are held except for that one time. Yeah.
I will say, Dulles is a better location than DC proper, and I will die on that hill.
No, you're right.
I'm releasing for all of our listeners. I will be releasing a food guide because I live in the area. It is not the most accessible places by the venue, but it is the best places by the venue, and you will be richly rewarded if you listen to my advice.
Oh, there you go. Be on the lookout for that. Also, be on the lookout for these picks of the week coming to you right now. I'm proud of that transition.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
My pick of the week is a cheeky little pyretic ritual. So, just some fun facts for you about this card. TCG low is $2. TCG market is $4.13. TCG player direct low is $16.66.
That's funny.
Great
Card has-
moogly fucking moogly.
Card has a reprint as, I believe, a foil in Mystery Booster, the list, right? And then also a secret layer that no one really bought. Those ones are like $30 a copy. There are multiple instances of somebody just paying $60 outright for a playset of this card because you need it to play with Ral Monsoon Mage. And Storm players are sickos and they want it. And the kind of person who is just going to right-click buy all on a deck isn't going to notice they're spending $60 and thinks they're spending $150 on their Rals. And, a $16 direct premium, or I guess a plus $14 direct premium is like pretty relevant. And the fact that it is selling for that number is like, get your playset now. Who knows? Maybe by the time that this podcast goes up to the viewing public on Friday, you will have already missed your chance. Maybe if you had paid $1 a month, less than 25 cents an episode, you got that tip early.
That's right.
Consider that one.
Patreon.com/BSB.
Consider this. This is probably timely advice too. If you are still able to get Scarblade Elite under $7, you should do it. It is rapidly approaching that price, and the near mint copies are selling out sneakily. Scarblade Elite is going to go up predicated on the Assassins coming out and the Assassin's Creed stuff, which isn't even out yet, and when it does come out, even more people are going to try to buy that crap. So have Scarblade Elite and stuff like that ready to sell to them. So both Ezio and Altair Assassin's Creed decks care about assassin types, and Scarblade Elite is one of the rare assassins from that era that's actually good. Like Gul'Draz Assassin probably has some upside too, but that card sucks hard. So get your Scars Blade Elite now.
I agree.
Yeah, great card. Okay, I'll pop in here. We talked about it earlier in the episode, but Ice Fang Quaddle is $1. It's just $1. There was a secret layer version that looks pretty cool. You might, I don't know how to feel about most of these secret layers. It's been moving up from 4 to 6 itself. Maybe that's the version you want because it ends up 10 to 15. Maybe you just want the normal one because it's $1. And if the deck becomes good, any deck involving this in Modern at the Pro Tour is going to get a lot of attention in the next month. And this will be a $5 card. So very low buy-in at $1 for Ice Fang Quaddle, which is already starting to tick up.
Tight.
Sounds good.
Tight. DJ, what are you looking at? Wrap it up this week.
My pick is kind of based on Ral, but also kind of based on Breaches the Blast Maker. So I was bored enough at Vegas that my coworker and I started kind of theory crafting a little bit of modern coin flippiness. Just we were that bored. Just thinking about things like Mana Clash and just Ral and like how deep we can get with like chance encounter. Just it was not a good weekend, as I said before. But it has me looking at Krark's Thumb, which spiked very hard during Modern Horizons 2 after Yusri Fortune's Flame came out in 2021. And so I am looking at Crux Thumb because Rao and there's a couple other coin flippy nonsense going on. They've been making coin flippiness more competitive.
Bobbleheads.
What?
Bobbleheads.
There's bobbleheads, and there's also the whatever the counterspell steel card is in Image 3.
Invert Polarity.
Thank you, Cass. Invert Polarity was the big one because that one's we were thinking could see some play in Modern, and we decided to go full coin flip. Crux Thumb is around $7, but it bottomed out at $5 several months ago, and it's creeping up to 10. Like I think that Crux Thumb has very, very few printings. It has one from the list, and then it has its secret lair cool alternate double-faced version. So very, very minimally printed card. It's from Mirrodin originally, so very, very few copies out there. If you see some content creator making more coin flip stuff, or some sort of Saffron Olive-esque brew being posted around on Twitter that deals with coin flips in Modern, Crux Thumb will be $20. So they continue to push flipping coins,
and that's
These
just a
flipping
card
coins.
that's just going to go back down and back up.
Yes. Yeah, if you look at the graph on Crux Thumb, it will look the same but slightly longer 2 years from now.
I really feel like Crux Thumb as a spec is kind of like a 50-50, like a coin toss.
How dare you?
And that's all for this week on Brainstorm Brewery. I'm your host, Cass Lynn, joined here by Corbin Hostler, Jason Alt, and DJ Dougie Johnson. Bye!
See you next week, everybody. Thank you for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. Thank you to our sponsors, MTGstocks, as well as Coalesce Apparel and Design, where you can use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery to get 10% off your order. And, of course, thank you to all of our patrons at patreon.com/BSB. We'll see you next week.